What's up, everybody? It's your host, Jaden for Illini Daily. And guys, we're going to be talking about some more possible 2027 freshman recruits that we should be shooting for. I think it's kind of obvious that Illini is one of the best basketball teams in college basketball right now. And I think it's kind of obvious that we should be shooting for the stars, shooting for players that are top quality, some top quality. And like I said last video, I think we still should be pursuing big man because as of right now, that's where the lackluster of Illini recruits are right now. Because we have a lot of guards, a lot of wings, but right now we don't have a lot of big men because right now it's Tomislav and Ivasic, and I guess Mirkovic, and I guess you could argue Jake Davis, but those guys and Xavier Zenz, but those guys aren't really big men. They're more like bigger wings. Especially Mirkovic. He's a bigger wing. And I guess you could put Stavakovic at the fourth position at some scenarios, but I'd rather not do that. Especially with how big the Big Ten is when it comes to players right now. So I think it's kind of obvious that we are forcing a bigger team. And last year we were one of the tallest teams in the Big Ten, if not the nation. So it's kind of obvious we should probably stick towards this type of trend. And I'm looking at some freshman recruits that would be really, really good for us because I don't know if the NCAA is going to be dropping this rule where you can't recruit outside of the nations. What I mean by that, like the pro international players. So that could be going down and we could be seeing a big quality affect some of our recruitment. But these are some freshmen that I think can kind of change that. They're 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits. So I think it's kind of obvious. Today we're going to be talking about CJ Roser. I don't know if you guys saw the U17 American basketball team, the World Cup team. He was dominating, even making some big splashes. I was watching some of his highlights, and I saw some qualities that I really, really liked. That reminds me of a Jabari Parker, a young Brandon Ingram, from when everybody thought Brandon Ingram should be a big man, athletic-wise and size. We're also going to be talking about Darius Wilmington. This guy's a really skillful center. He might be more of a 4 or a small forward due to his skill, but he does play back to the basket. He does have some defensive qualities as a 5, and being 6'10", 6'11", kind of hurts his idea of playing a small forward, but he's still very highly skilled as a passer, shooter, and scorer. He qualities more to his skill than his athleticism. So this is where I kind of see him being more of a 4, but we'll be talking about it. And Jaden Jenkins, I think he's more of the modernized version of a big man. NBA standards. He can shoot the 3. He can shoot mid-range shots, but does a really good job of scoring inside using his athleticism. Defensively, he's athletically a 5. So this is where I'm talking about for these guys. But CJ Roser is definitely the number 1 recruit that I do want to be looking at and do want to be talking about. So let's just get straight into it. CJ Roser reminds me of a young BI horror Jabari Parker. This is just because his athletic ability. He can literally dunk on everybody. It's kind of cool to watch. It reminds me of an old school style of mentality. If I'm up in the air, I'm dunking on somebody. This is where I see CJ makes a lot of his highlights. Athletically, he can defend 1 through 5. This is kind of great quality. He has good footwork. He's got great speed. And this is where his dominance are coming from. He has a lot of highlights of scoring from all 3 levels. As of right now, I think he's more of an inside scorer and a spot up 3-point shooter. He can do some mid-range shots, but he does a lot of post fades, a lot of floaters. So this is where I kind of dwindle his mid-range type of style of shooting. But he can shoot it, which is good to know because we like multiple level scorers when it comes to our big men, especially when you have a guy like Tomislav. Tomislav doesn't really shoot, mid-range shots, but he does do that quality post hook or post hook floaters, where his kind of mid-range is kind of where it's at. But CJ kind of does that, but in a more athletic style, post fades, turnaround mid-range, and 1 dribble turnaround shots. Very old school, very T-Mac, very Kobe, very Michael Jordan-like. I'm not saying he's that level of quality, but that's where the move comes from, and that's the move where I kind of think of. But where CJ does a really, really great job, he can dribble. He has really good ball handling skills. And being a 6'10" power forward, and being at Orlando, Florida, he's going to face some quality, great basketball, and having year-round possibility of competition also kind of helps. Um, he was also, in my opinion, probably the best U17 player from what I've seen. I think it was between him and Beckham Black. They were doing a great job of scoring from everywhere, and Wilmington, I think, was also on the team, but I have to relook at it. But CJ was making so many highlights. He dunked on literally everybody from every team they face. I think there wasn't a game where he didn't have a dunk. I think that's what makes him such an exciting player. And I think this is what the Illini's been kind of missing. We haven't had a true um, athletic guy really since Terrence Shannon in them. Because CJ he can bring this quality back. He can make some awesome high quality transition plays, even some half court crazy athletic plays. Now we still have Z, and Z does a great job of this, of making some sporadic posterizing dunk every once in a while. And Tomislav, but we don't have a guy who consistently just one dribble pulls up and just dunks on somebody. And I think this is where we kind of need CJ to be that, if we can get him as a recruit. He would be a great recruit when it comes to those standards, because sometimes you just need that. Sometimes you need some motivation, some momentum changer where somebody just gets dunked on and definitely change the momentum of the game, regardless if you're winning or losing. This is where I think CJ can be really good. He also has a really high tempo and motor, meaning behind that, he's always a high energy guy. He's always hyping everybody up. He's always hyping himself up. And that's a great quality to have as a teammate. For me, who personally played in college sports, you always want one guy who can make a sporadic, not talking that much or talking smack, but makes an amazing play that hypes everybody up. So I really would like CJ to be a recruit for the Fighting Illini. As of right now, he's getting looked at in North Carolina, um, in Kentucky, but I feel like we can change that. I feel like we can definitely rotate his mind towards the Fighting Illini, because, like I said, we're going to be one of the best basketball teams next year, and I think that's going to give a lot of people some eyes and ears to look at, especially some big recruits like CJ Roser. And to give you guys a ranking, he's the number one power forward, number two player in Florida, but in a lot of qualities, some people rank him the number one player in Florida, but he's definitely the number one player. And Number one power forward, and he's considered the number two national player, if not number one. So CJ Rozier is up there, and we got to do a lot of recruiting. Got to do a great job of definitely motivating him to come to the Fighting Illini. The next player, Darius Wilmington, plays like a highly skilled five. He plays very skilled, guys. He can dribble. He has really good inside presence, especially back to the basket. He can make an assist from anywhere, half the court, across the court, from the left to the right, from the paint, from the top of the key. He does just a great job of just really setting up his teammates, really setting up the offense, and does a great job of scoring for himself. And he might be the most skilled five that I've seen, from a quality standpoint. He does a really good job of just making his presence known. He reminds me a lot of a mixture of Karl-Anthony Towns now with the Knicks, being a point center. He also reminds me of Tomislav, setting everybody up within the offense. He does a great job with this, but you can see this quality of all his highlights, that he sets people up. He's obviously scores for himself for a while, gets that 10 points, and once he hits that 10-point range, he starts creating for others. And when his team is down, he starts scoring again, where his dominance is coming from. And coming from Scottsdale, Arizona, he's going to be facing some top end. Oh, Phoenix, Arizona. Uh, he's going to be facing some really high range of emotions, or high range of competitions. I don't know why I said emotions. And my camera's shifting. My bad, guys. I'll fix it later. High range of competition, but he does a really, really good job. He's top 3 as a center ranking. He's top 4 in Arizona. National wise, he's top 15, but I think he's a higher quality player than people have realized. I think with his skill alone, he's definitely D1 ready. He's definitely like NBA ready, just skill wise. And I think this is where he can definitely make a name for himself. Another player that I was thinking about, he reminds me a lot of Tim Duncan. He really knows how to use the bank, from anywhere he's at when it comes to layups, floaters. mid-range shots, three-pointers. He just knows how to use it. And another quality that I like, he's a really good spot-up shooter. You can just pass him the ball, he'll catch and shoot, and it's a swish almost every single time. Or he aims for the bank, which is a quality that I feel like a lot of high school players need, because the bank is always open. You know, you can have an array of defenders all over you, but if you shoot at a bank at a high angle of the rim, it gets in. So I think this is where Wemington definitely separates himself from all the other centers or power forwards that I'm going to be talking about, because I think he might be the most skilled. Um, Athletic wise, he's okay. He might be moderate. You know, he's 6'10", so he can dunk every once in a while. But I think what his separates him. Oh, he's 6'11". I think what separates him is definitely his skill and quality in ball handles. He can pass it, dribble, shoot from anywhere. Probably better than most of these guys that I'm talking about on this list. And I think this is where I think Illini would be a really great place for him to play at, because I feel like Coach Underwood can really bring out the best out of him, because we've done a great job with highly skilled centers. Kofi, Tomislav, even Z, even though Z doesn't really score, but his dribbling skills has gotten a lot better. And Mirkovic, even though he's not really a big, he's just a bigger power forward. His dribbling skills have gotten way better from the start of the season. So I think we could do a great job of honing his skills and making him a higher price center than he's already been. The last but not least guy I want to talk about is Jaden Jenkins. Jaden Jenkins is the only 4-star recruit out of the two guys that we were talking about, but he's still ranked higher than Darius Wilmington. Don't know why. Because he's ranked 6th center in the nation, 43 in the whole nation, and 46 nationally sometimes. But he's the number 1, I believe, Pennsylvania player that's ranked. A lot of Big Ten schools are looking at him, Michigan State, Ohio State. Other schools are also looking at him, Xavier, Pittsburgh, and NC State. With Jaden Jenkins versus all these other players, I think he might be the best defender out of the 3 that I'm talking about today. And he plays as more of a modernized big. You know, he's a very good spot-up shooter. He definitely knows his quality of wealth when it comes to his height. He's 6'10". He doesn't waste any movement. I think that's one of his best qualities. Once he has the ball in his hands, he's either going to dribble and pull up, or he's going to the rim. He doesn't have an array of moves, but he does do a great job of separating himself from his other teammates. Meaning behind that, he always makes a big noise when it comes to certain plays in the game. What I mean by that, like, if there's an alley-oop opportunity, he takes it. If there's a point of where he needs to get rebounds for his team, he'll take it. When it comes to steals, blocks, whatever, he's the nitty-gritty guy that I think would be good for any D1 franchise. What I really like about his game is, like I said, he doesn't waste any movement. He's one dribble pull up, one dribble to the rim, one dribble, whatever. Like, I think that's one of the best qualities you can have as a high school player, because a lot of people screw up by like wasting their movements by doing an array of moves, when sometimes people try to figure that out, and that's where it screws you up. Jaden doesn't do that. Jaden Jenkins is always, I have this move, I'm either going to get to the rim or going to shoot on you and use my height against you. And I like him as a defender. He uses his height for blocks. He uses his height to get easy boards. He's great at boxing out. He always does the nitty gritty stuff, which is what I talked about already. And this is why I think he's a great quality player. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. You know, we're still doing these recruitment videos. I'm still looking at other recruits. I had some highly ranked ones in the last video, but I think CJ Rozier and Darius Wilmington should be higher on the list. We should definitely push for these guys. And I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe, and please tell your friends about it. And check me out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and I'll see you guys next time.